today I effed up by getting my whole family mega high on edibles for 48 hours over Christmas. So as the title says, this wasn't today, it all started on Christmas Eve. I'll set the scene. It's Christmas Eve at my family home with my parents, brother, sister, my GF and my brother's GF. All of us are in our early 20s, besides my parents who are mid-50s. They have never had a problem with us smoking weed and would do it with us on occasion. A few months before, me and my GF had made a batch of edibles and got pretty high off them, but nothing too crazy. So on Christmas Eve I thought it would be a great idea to make a new batch of similar strength and get the whole family high, as we are rarely all together as all us kids are at different universities. So I start making the edibles, but I can't remember exactly how much weed I used in the first batch. I had 6 grams on me and used it all, as there was 7 of us, so nothing too crazy, or so I thought. Now when we made the first batch, me and my GF cut the brownies into 12 pieces and only ever had one at a time. However, my mum has a fancy brownie maker which cuts them for you into 9 pieces. So straight away I knew these would be a bit stronger than before, but still I didn't think they would be that strong. Boy, was I wrong. So I finish baking the brownies at around 2 p.m. on Christmas Eve, and the family descends on them like a plague of locusts. Half an hour goes by and no one is feeling anything. Mum is just about to serve up dinner. We had it early as we knew no one would be able to make it later. We sit down to start eating, and then one by one we start to feel it. My dad, who has a history of passing out after smoking weed, finished his dinner in a matter of seconds and crawls off to the sofa as he can't stand up and needs to lie down. So off he goes, and about 15 minutes later we finish our dinner and go to see where he has got to. We walk into our lounge to discover him already asleep on the sofa. So about 20 more minutes go by and we are all feeling pretty high at this point. My mom starts freaking out and saying she doesn't like this at all and needs some way to stop the high. I tell her that there is no way to stop it and to just ride it out. After about another 30 minutes my dad suddenly gets up from the sofa like he's the Undertaker and dashed off to the kitchen as he needs more food. He then proceeds to make about 15 slices of toast for everyone to eat, as well as about 5 for himself. At this point we realize that no one has wrapped any presents yet, and my 85-year-old grandmother is coming round for Christmas tomorrow. So we hastily try to wrap some presents, but no one really gets anything done, as by this point no one can even stand up anymore. Now me and my brother are seasoned stoners, but even we can't move more than 2 steps before falling to the floor and needing 15 minutes rest to get up again. We decide that the only thing we can do is to try and sleep it off, and hopefully we feel better in the morning. So after a while of all 7 of us struggling up the stairs, we finally make it into our beds and try to sleep it off. We all wake up on Christmas Day still whacked out of our minds and not able to function properly. We then realize that we have to go and pick up my brother's friend up who is joining us for Christmas, but none of us are in any state to drive. So, after explaining to my grandmother that none of us can drive to pick up the friend as we are all too high to move, we had to call an Uber to bring the friend to us, which cost a small fortune as it was Christmas, as he was about 25 miles away. So we soldier on through Christmas, all of us trying to just not be high anymore, and we finally make it to the end of the day still high as a kite. We go to sleep and wake up the next day, and guess what? We're still high as F. I genuinely thought it would never end, but eventually later that day we all started coming back down to planet Earth. So yeah, I ruined Christmas by getting my whole family too high to move. Update. People are asking for more things that happened, so I'll share a few with you. As I replied to one comment, my mum was answering the TV every time someone on the TV asked a question. This next one needs a little context. In our kitchen we have an OOPSIES. This is basically a fancy oven that is always on as a way to heat up the house. I never use it as the temperature isn't consistent and I always burn anything that I put in it. This is because I don't know what temperature it is and my mum always says it's around 200 degrees Celsius. My mum always has a go at me whenever I use the regular oven as it's wasteful. With that out the way, I'll get to the funny bit. This was right before mum served up dinner. She got the Yorkshire puddings out of the OOPSIES and they were completely burnt. I ask why they are burnt if she knows the temperature and she looks me dead in the eye and says I have no idea what the temperature of the OOPSIES is. This was enough to send us both into fits of laughter for about 5 minutes. Tifu by taking too much acid, tripping for 3 days, and having a psychotic break. XL. This F-up takes place in March 2018 and results in the worst year of my life. I've since recovered to a degree that I didn't think was gonna be possible, but I'm a different person. Bear with me for the story. It's patchy because the acid trip just left me with flashes of memory that I've since arranged into the narrative of what happened that week. It's a beautiful day in San Francisco and I've just had a great meeting with my co-workers at my new job. I work from home, so I decide to end my work day in the early afternoon because the meeting was pretty much the only thing in the agenda for the day. I made a great impact, and I felt like celebrating by finding mushrooms and having a psychedelic day. I start to Google how to find drugs in SF and multiple sites suggest going to Hippie Hill at the Golden Gate Park and finding someone that looks the part. My naive self thinks simple enough. I get there, find a circle of interesting looking characters and ask for mushrooms. The guy in the circle, who I guess had the drugs, tells me he ran out of mushrooms but he has acid. I'm open to this because my first acid trip 5 months ago was remarkable. A small paper tab, he pulls out the acid but it's in the form of 2 square orange gel gummies. $20. I think it's a steal. I head back to my apartment with them in my pocket and do a quick Google search on what I now have in my possession. Orange gel acid. Some resources I find confirm it's a thing. I take the tablets. Approximately 2 p.m. I will now describe the scenes I experienced over the next 3 days in order to the best of my ability before I ended up in the hospital. Get home. Start the trip sitting in my closet in the dark as I feel it start to overwhelm me. Essentially black out in my room because I don't remember what I did with the next 3 hours. But I stayed inside my studio apartment. Come to my senses. As if I've respawned. I don't know what's happened, but I'm home, and it's a little darker outside. I'm stable but still feeling a little high. I head out to buy some weed from a dispensary and the walk there is glorious. I'm happy, seeing patterns, and pretty optimistic. I get some weed at the weed shop, but by this time it's like I'm looking at the world through a kaleidoscope. The girl I buy it from at the counter looks like one of those church windows with different color glass pieces together. I get home. Start smoking, chill on my balcony, listening to instrumentals and trying to come up with rhymes, have some cool breakthroughs that feel like I've made some universal understand it something. Nighttime. Smoke some more, go to my rooftop. I see some huge spaceship that's just one big eye floating across the sky looking at me. I'm in awe. I go back to my bed and lay down. I don't know if I slept. It's morning. I feel sober, as if I'm back to normal. I decide to wake and bake. The trip starts back up and I'm feeling on top of the world again. But slipping mentally. I go outside. Start walking. Get about 5 minutes from my house and decide, why do I have a phone? I come to the conclusion I don't need it, and if I do, it'll come back to me. I set it down in some random person's porch. Keep walking. And walking and walking, and the city is a maze. I'm on top of a crane looking down at death. I decide to climb back down. At some point try to eat a piece of glad on the ground, and someone stops me, proceeds to walk with me, and talk me into letting them withdraw $800 from my bank out for themselves. I'm back at my place and it's night time. I've spent the day walking around the city with no recollection of the day. Essentially respawning again. I smoke more. Head back out into the night. Spent the night half roaming the city, talking to myself the whole time, getting lost multiple times, being scared multiple times, losing my mind. It's morning. In the context of this story, I've respawned again. I don't know if I slept. Every time I respawn, I'm not entirely sure what's happened and feel relatively normal. I decide to smoke, but just a little this time. Not a whole bowl. One puff. I'm in the Uber in the way to work, having the conversation of a lifetime with the driver. It seems like we're talking about everything I've been thinking about in 2018 so far. As if he's been thinking about the same things. I make it to work and the day flies by. Feeling stable, but definitely under the influence. Head home from work and stop by a bookstore. The guy's pupils are in the shape of stars. He recommends a book to me. I buy it. Get home thinking it's been an awesome day. Start smoking again. A lot this time. I'm writing on my walls. Really effed up stuff. I end up writing nonsense on about 30% of my wall space in my studio. Smoke more. Head back out into the city. Once again it's a maze, and my mind starts to slip further and further again as I pace for hours. I throw my house keys in a trash can. I leave my wallet on the top of a random ATM. I take a random bus to with no intention of knowing where I'm going. I try to get my eyelids tattooed at a shop. Thank God they rejected me. I respawn at home. Night time. It's still not aware to me that the last 48-ish hours have not been normal. I smoke more. Head into the night with a backpack full of everything I think I'll need. I'm intent on running away, committing to a life of being homeless. I end up chilling with some homeless people downtown on the side of the street at what's probably 10:30 p.m. I'm tired, start to lay down and they cover me with a blanket. It's morning and I've respawned for the last time. It's probably 7 a.m. and the homeless people are gone. So is my backpack. With my work computer. Since I don't immediately smoke like I have been when I wake up for the past 2 days, I essentially come to my senses on this day. I head back home in a highly confused state, wondering WTF has taken place the last couple days. I come home, realize my phone is gone. I can't comprehend why. I change my clothes and head to work. I get to work, and I'm stuck in the lobby because I can't get in without my badge, which was in my backpack. I start to panic in the lobby and get real quiet on the couch in the open. Some people come up to me and start talk to me. I literally can't respond. It's like I've forgotten how to talk. Some co-workers recognize me and immediately realize something is wrong. My parents are contacted and try to talk to me on the phone. I'm still mute. They immediately book a flight. My cousin comes to pick me up and takes me to the hospital. I'm still not talking to anyone. No medical staff I come in contact with are getting through to me. Hours pass as they run tests, brain scan, etc. They see I've had marijuana in my system. Can't identify anything else. Hours pass and I'm on a bed in the hallway. I try to make a run for it outside. I get captured by a security guard. Night time. I'm in a different hospital, on medications, back at some sort of base level. My parents are here, I'm talking, and over the next 7 days I'm in the hospital, on medications, trying to piece together the week with my parents. I didn't sleep, drink, or eat through the period besides maybe once that day at work. For the rest of 2018 I will experience depression. Derealizatio. Depersonalizatio, cognitive slowing, flashbacks, HPPD, food levels of anxiety, a string of medications, and a deep realizatio that I can't talk the same, think the same, or be the same. I'm a different person. I'm opening to answering questions. I haven't really described the absolute hell the rest of the year is. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Today I effed up by calling my girlfriend fat. So, this actually happened today. I know, never happened before on this sub. But anyway, we're gonna need some context. So, I live in a pretty nice apartment building with a roommate, let's call him Tim. I met my girlfriend because a few years ago she moved into the apartment next door. Let's call her Hannah. Anyway, I'm on the couch in the living room this morning when I'm eating a tub of ice cream. No shame really, just going to town on it. I don't ever tell Hannah when I have ice cream, because the moment she finds out it's in my freezer, I have about T-4 seconds until it's gone. Tim and I have this kind of running joke about the fact that we don't tell our girlfriends about the ice cream we have because we don't want them getting fatter. Now, mind you, neither of them are fat at all, we just don't want to share the ice cream. So I have about a quarter of the container left. When Tim yells, "Hey op! Don't you think Hannah would appreciate it if you shared some of your ice cream with her?" So naturally my response was, if I give Hannah one more bite of ice cream she's going to be a clone of Rosie O'Donnell, so I'm gonna finish this for her sake. See, here's where I effed up. Hannah was in her bathroom when I said this. And her bathroom shares a wall with my living room. So she heard every word of that. Now, I didn't know she was in there. But I assume she must have already been in there an hour because it took about 20 seconds for her to knock on my door. And we all know women can't pass through the door of a bathroom twice in the same hour. So anyways, Hannah knocks on my door. Immediately I knew she had heard that. The look on her face was not anger, it was just blank. So what did I do? I offered her the ice cream, because I'm a dumbass. So she takes the ice cream, and as if she briefly became possessed by Michael Jordan, launches it across my living room, and nets it right into the trash can. At this moment I thought one of two things was about to happen. Either my girlfriend was about to use the remaining magic spells she had left to slay me down like Voldemort cutting down Harry's parents. Or I was about to do a really poor job explaining what I just said. Sadly, despite the incredible shot, Hannah was not really a wizard and I had explanations to give. So while I'm fumbling over my words, Tim looks this girl in the eye and said to her, "Op makes jokes about your weight to me so that I will feel better about never having a girlfriend as pretty as you." I don't know what sorcery this guy was using, but Hannah looks at me and says, "Oh, you really think I'm that pretty?" TL, Doctor, my roommate is the greatest bro of all time. My girlfriend is probably a little slow.